Sacramento spending big bucks on tiny homes. Let's get into that story. This is coming from the California Globe. Sacramento spending another $12 million on tiny homes for homeless on top of billions more. The City of Sacramento Department of Community Response received a $12.35 million Encampment Resolution Funds grant from the California Department of Housing and Community Development in October 2024, 10 months ago, to purchase and construct additional tiny homes for homeless vagrants. That's $12.35 million to spend on housing a small number of Sacramento's mentally ill homeless drug addicts. So there's a couple of nonprofits that are getting a lot of this funding. The Gathering Inn and First Steps community, and California Globe did a great job breaking down all of this. So this first one is, this first one is from the Gathering Inn, and it looks like they received $6.2 million in government grants, $250,000 in fundraising, and $1.9, almost $2 million in other contributions, gifts, and grants. So they made a majority of their funding from government grants, only $250,000 in fundraising. The total of the officer salaries is $690,000, $33,000 in other benefits. There's a lot of other expenses as well, $4.7 in salaries and wages and $399,000 in other employee benefits. So doing pretty well, the Gathering Inn. They're spending a lot of money and a lot of government grants. First Steps community was only created in 2016 as a housing first model as a top priority. And I'm going to talk about housing first in a little bit. It was first pushed by the Obama administration rather than prioritizing mental health and drug treatment and life skills. First Step communities filing under First Step Housing received $6.8 million in government grants out of $7 million total revenue for the 2023 IRS Form 990. So they received almost $7 million in government grants. So again, most of their revenue came from government grants. Since 2016, First Step Communities has accumulated $20 million in grants and contributions. That is a ton of money. And this is just Sacramento, right? This is just Sacramento. We're not talking about like California as a whole, which has spent, $20-30 billion of our taxpayer dollars. This is Sacramento alone, $20 million just for these nonprofits. Notably, the First Step Community Organization, along with other catalysts of this work, such as Sacramento Steps Forward and Sacramento Continuum of Care, are in agreement with HUD's direction towards housing first as the priority model. The failed housing first policy the state has spent billions on is, well, a failure, except for the contractors refurbishing and building the housing for the homeless. 2023 IRS Form 990 for Sacramento Steps Forward shows $37.5 million in contributions and grants, $532,000 in investment income, and $5 million in salary and benefits. That's a lot of money in salary and benefits. The compensation for officers and directors is a nice total of $920,000 salaries and $1,000 in benefits. Again, this is just Sacramento. And if you always wonder, why is homelessness in California so out of control? Why are we not spending all the money on the right places? Why is this such a cluster? I want to point you to Hafsa Kaka. That's her name, Hafsa Kaka. She is the senior advisor to Gavin Newsom, and she is the senior advisor on homelessness. And this is an older clip, but a press conference that is notable nonetheless. If you want to know why homelessness in California is such a disaster, I'm just going to let you watch this clip.
We have been moving at an unprecedented rate.
At a Sacramento homelessness update, Governor Newsom's administration refusing to acknowledge the delay to 1,200 tiny homes it promised to deliver statewide. Newsom announced the original effort this past spring, saying 350 of them would be provided to Sacramento by this fall.
I get it. You want to see progress and you want to see it now.
But the tiny homes are not ready, and with still no contract signed or builder secured, Newsom's senior advisor on homelessness could not say when they would be.
I came from the locals, right? So when it comes to projects like this, it's just not overnight. You have a whole process that you go through. And what we're doing is we're aiming to streamline the process so that we could quickly and expeditiously get projects going, but also make it safe and right and quality. People deserve dignity in the space that they're in. So that is the answer. Thank you.
So, but on that note then, The governor didn't say the tiny homes were coming overnight.
Can we just, I want to go back 10 seconds. I just want to go back 10 seconds real quick. And I just want to I want you to look at her face when she comes out, she gives this little spiel, and I want you to look at her face.
Have a whole process that you go through, and what we're doing is we're aiming to streamline the process so that we could quickly and expeditiously get projects going, but also make it safe and right and quality. People deserve dignity in the space that they're in. So that is the answer. Thank you.
She said thank you so fast, as if like, oh, that's it, I'm good, I said my thing, okay, good, thank you, good. And then this is what happens next.
The governor didn't say the tiny homes were coming overnight.
Look at that face. She's shooting darts through the reporter. Like, I'm sorry, you had a follow-up question? I thought I nailed that. That answer wasn't good enough for you? And her condescending look at the reporter of like, how dare you ask a question? Are you kidding me? Like, I gave an incredible answer. You shouldn't have to ask me any questions about that. The way her head bobbed and she gave this stare. That's a look. That's a look of like, you don't get to question me.
Said they were coming this fall or by this fall, and now it's mid 2024 in October. What's the holdup, I guess, then?
So I actually went ahead and explained that already. There was actually progress being made. There's no holdup. We've been continuing the momentum.
I actually explained that already. Okay, like if you were paying attention, I already explained that. Like if you were paying attention, you didn't really answer the question. You gave political gobbledygook and you expected everyone to like stand up and applaud and go, oh, that's a great answer. That's exactly what we were looking for. All these tiny homes in Sacramento. I guess the fact that it took so long and tens of millions of dollars were spent on them and these nonprofits are making a ton of money. Yeah, whatever. I guess that's a good enough answer.
Mentioned that we went ahead and we passed legislation to make it more flexible, to streamline. That's not a holdup, that's progress. We also went ahead and created a procurement process, which essentially makes locals easier to help get this going. Again, that's not a holdup, that's progress. And later this month, we anticipate finalizing a contract for the state and making locals the purchase easier. So again, that's not a holdup, that's progress.
Facing a barrage of questions at the future site of a...
That's not holdup. The fact that we're only 12 months behind, and this was last year, 12 months behind on this project, and the state is giving, as you can see, lots of money to a lot of these nonprofits who are supposed to be building little tiny homes, and people are going, what's going on here? And she goes, we've streamlined. That's progress. Okay, well, progress would be seeing these tiny homes being built, but we are looking at an empty lot. If you can see behind her, it's an empty lot. So no progress.
Mental health campus off of Stockton Boulevard. Hafsa Kaka stepped away from the microphone and let Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg defend the new timeline.
Once they're delivered, then they'll go up soon.
When the governor...
I'm sorry. The way he says it is so funny to me. I gotta watch that again. It's like such like, I can't believe we actually have to show up to this thing.
Then they'll go up soon.
Soon. The way he just rolls his eyes like, I don't know, soon. Like, why are you asking so many damn questions? Like, we told you that we streamlined it, and they're going to get here, and that's it. I don't know what else you want from us. We streamlined it, and they're going to be here soon. I don't know. Soon.
When the administration says that it's going to do something in October, should the public not believe him?
I think, well, I'm sort of this way myself. I think you establish, you lay out a vision, you push hard for aggressive action, and then you get a lot farther than you would have gotten and a lot sooner than if you didn't push hard.
I don't know what any of that meant. I think a lot of these politicians, as a defense mechanism, when they don't know what to do, they have to revert into like their political speech of like, this is, I'm just going to say a lot of gobbledygook of like, you set a vision and then you work hard and then you work past that and then, you reach your dreams and we reach our goals and blah, blah, blah. He had nothing to say. He literally had nothing to say about that. You could see the switch in his head of like, I don't have an answer here, so I'm just going to switch into my like political speak kind of defense mechanism. So out of that whole like 3-minute clip, you didn't get an answer on anything regarding these tiny homes in Sacramento. And Hafsa she's mad that you actually ask her questions because she already told you she streamlined it. And if you could look at that open field, they've streamlined it. But I do want to talk about housing first, which has become the model that California is following, is this idea of giving them housing first, just get them off the streets, which is obviously very expensive. It's very expensive to build in California, as we all know, just housing in general. So it's said that California saw a modest 1.2 decrease in overall homelessness from 2019 to 2020. And we'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, COVID had a lot to do with that. California's high housing costs undermine housing first effectiveness. The state has the second highest home prices in the U.S., $468 per square foot, making it expensive to build permanent supportive housing. For example, Los Angeles County projects have cost $275,000 to $700,000 per unit. $700,000 per unit to build, just to build that in Los Angeles. When homes are selling for $700,000 to $800,000, at least here in San Diego County, they're selling for $700,000 to $800,000. They're building them for $700,000, which makes me think someone's making a lot of money on building these units. Must be these nonprofits who are getting millions of dollars. With an estimated $67.9 billion needed to build 527,000 units to end homelessness. That's from cato.org. The policy's prohibition on requiring sobriety or treatment has drawn criticism. So this is something else. Is if you're a nonprofit who wants to build these tiny homes, or you have a shelter or something like that, and you say, look, we're going to require that you actually be sober or want to come in as sober and get sober, you can't get government grants. So you can't say no to people. If you want government grants, the state has actually made it illegal for you to require sobriety to get into these shelters. Crazy. You don't get government grants from the state. These big lucrative contracts, these, tens of millions of dollars that these nonprofits are making. You can't get it if you require sobriety to go into these shelters or these homes. Tell me how that does not seem like absolute insanity. Now, there is a bill making its way right now through the assembly, and they're trying to change it up so that you can actually receive some money, but they haven't gone all the way. And as we know with what's going on with homelessness, if you say, oh, you have to be sober to get into these houses, you're likely not going to get a lot of people, because people who are on the streets right now aren't necessarily always sober. By 2024, the homeless population reached an all-time high in California, around 187,000. Reflecting a modest increase of about 3% from 2023's count of approximately 185,000. The contrast with a smaller national increase of 0.4% from 2020 to 2022. So is it working? I don't think so. There was a study done by the Point in Time Contact in Sacramento to show that they had a 25 to 40% decrease in Sacramento and homelessness over the past couple of years. There's been some criticism about that. Loaves and Fishes, which is a nonprofit, they're a Christian-based organization. They provide food and stuff like that for people. They are calling BS on it because they're saying, well, you say there's a 25 to 40% decrease in homelessness in Sacramento alone. We've seen about a 6% increase in a request for services. So that doesn't really make sense. How do you have 25% or 40% decrease in homelessness in Sacramento? If we're seeing a larger request in services, that means there's more people asking for our services. So it would correlate if their homelessness is going down, the request for services. So Loaves and Fishes has called them out. But regardless, my main point that I want to make about this and why I bring this up is this is just an example of a part of the homeless industrial complex in California. There is so much money to be made in California if you're a homeless nonprofit. That's just the bottom line. If you're a homeless nonprofit, there are millions and millions of dollars to be made. You see it in Sacramento, you see it in San Francisco, you see it in Los Angeles, you see it in San Diego. All of these homeless nonprofits are making money hand over fist with our tax dollars, and yet as of last year's count, we still have the most homelessness in the nation, and we haven't tackled it or decreased it at all, and it's gone up. So is this just another example of how these homeless nonprofits are never going to want to solve the problem? I don't think they ever want to solve the problem. Let me know in the comments. Do you think we're spending too much money and these nonprofits need to be regulated a little bit more on how much they're spending or how much they're getting? Because it seems to be out of control. Let me know in the comments about your thoughts about the homeless industrial complex and whether you think we're giving them way too much money for too little results.